Welcome, guys. You guys can hear me clearly. No problem, right?
Yes.
We are officially live. Oh my goodness! Like I felt like we were just going through a little process here today. Well, welcome, Candance, Mohammed. Welcome, Monica Williams. You ladies are looking fabulous. So welcome to Live with Mellisa Lambert. We're going to have a conversation, y'all, and I'm so thankful that you all are here to kind of join. We're going to go ahead right now and let's share on our page. So if you can go ahead with ladies, we're going to share on our page right now. Let everybody know we are live. We're live. So go ahead and share on your page. Welcome everybody as Candance and Monica go ahead and share on their page. This is Mellisa Lambert. I am your host on today, and I'm so excited just to be here, be able to come before you on this live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and we're just going to have a full-blown conversation. So this show is being sponsored by Women Emerge Network, a network that is created by a woman, but it's for the family. Our goal is to help each and every one of us to create wealth while building a legacy. So welcome to Women Emerge platform. We have Candance Mohammed here, and I'm going to actually have them introduce themselves because these are two phenomenal ladies. They both were actually interviewed on the radio, and it was an honor to meet both of these ladies. And I'm going to kind of give y'all a little summary of how I met Candance and then Monica. So Candance, I met Candance through the school. My daughter and her daughter was going to a Pacific school, and we actually were on a field trip. And this specific field trip, we were all separated. We're separated in groups, and Candance was nowhere near my group, but I saw her. I was like, wait, there's another African-American woman that's over there. She looks like she's friendly. Let me go talk to her. So I went and talked to her, and she looked at me like, why is this girl so hyper? She was like, why is she talking to me? I was like, hold up, I'm friendly. So I literally began to follow Candance around the museum. And she kept on looking at me weird. But if y'all know Mellisa don't give up, okay? Mellisa don't take no for an answer. So I kept on following her around and having a little conversation. Found out she was recently divorced, and I was too. Found out she has a daughter in Chelsea age. And I was like, okay, great. We can kind of be friends. Found out she goes to the same church I went to. I was like, I've never seen you there. And we just kind of started talking. And finally, she was trying to get away from me, y'all. And I was like, where's she going? And so I followed her to the lunchroom where the kids were having lunch. And I sat with her and I said to her, just know that anytime you need me, give me a call. I believe that a village raised children, right? And as a single mom to another single mom, if you ever need me, let me know. But lo and behold, the let me know was like 2 days later. She was like, hey, you said I can call on you if you need help. I was like, yeah, but I didn't know it was going to be this soon. And then she and I have been friends going on a year now. And it seemed like it's a decade because she became my sister friend. Like anytime I need her, she's there. And it was just such an honor to be able to grace a platform. She's a therapist. She has her own business, and she is definitely doing some great things. And then Miss Monica, I was it was so crazy how Monica and I met on the social media. We have not met yet in person, but we will. But I actually decided to friend Monica because I loved her background of her cover of her Facebook post. Also loved the fact that she was a strong, powerful woman, and she was an author. And I was like, oh, I want to find out a little bit about her. And the Spirit of God told me to inbox her, and I inboxed her, and I was like, hey, I would like to interview you. And she was like, who is this? So she was like, is this real? Is this person for real? So I sent her a voice message so she could know I'm real. And then she was like, okay. Then I sent her the show so she can hear the voice from Facebook and also the show. And then she was like, okay, this sounds like the real Mellisa. And then we scheduled a time to talk. And when I tell you, we hit it off. Again, a sister from another mother. And I feel so honored to be able to grace the platform with her, to learn about her story, to learn about her trauma, to learn where she's came from, but where she's going in. And I said, you know what, we're gonna do a call because Candace came on one show and she talked about trauma. Monica came on one show and talked about trauma. I was like, you know what? We need to put this together. Let's get them all, let's get these two ladies together so we can talk about unresolved trauma. I want to stop talking. I'm going to give the mic over to Candace for her to just share her background. Tell us about who you are, you know, your name of your company, what you do, and why do you think this topic is so important?
Thanks, Mellisa. Thanks for having me on this show with you. So my name is Candance Mohammed. I'm originally from the island of Trinidad and Tobago. Um, I am a therapist. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Keep on going.
Okay. I am a trauma therapist. I do something called dialectical behavioral therapy. This topic is so important to me because it's the topic that brought me into therapy. I was an accountant. It was my dream to be in accounting, and then life happened and brought me into this field, and it's because of trauma that I'm here today.
Wow, 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 wow. And I mean, that is just so amazing. I'm gonna bring back everybody, remove the okay, so hold on one second. Let me get everybody back on. Hold on. Um, that's amazing, Candace. I'm so thankful that we were able to get you to come forth. And I'm just like so waiting for this topic for us to really talk about it because I believe so many of us are struggling with unresolved trauma. And I'm going to allow Monica now to come forth because I believe that her story is so powerful. So, Monica, go ahead and share with us a little bit about what trauma looks like for you and just a little bit about who you are.
Well, you already pretty much announced me, so thank you. But again, I'm Monica Williams, and trauma looks different for all of us. My trauma started from childhood, and it just worked its way through my entire life. And my childhood trauma was definitely unresolved. I didn't even know that it was trauma related to all the things that I was experiencing and going through in life. I didn't learn that till later in my late 20s, early 30s, that it was even trauma related from childhood. So there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of things that people do not know or is unsure of, but I hope that we can answer a lot of questions today and get to the bottom of what trauma really is. So that's what I'm hoping to be able to discuss today.
Wow, 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 wow. So we are about to jump on in. So let's talk about. I want to ask this question to Candace because Candace, as a profession in this field, you understand, you said something earlier that this is what really caused you to come into the field of, you know, therapy. So what is unresolved trauma? When you hear that, I'm going to ask both you and Monica that same question because Monica also mentioned, you know, she never knew she had unresolved trauma until after a certain time. So when you think about in a clinical way, clinical understanding, what is unresolved trauma, Candace?
So there's a window of your brain that can tolerate life events, right? However, there are times when things occur. The event is overwhelming, it's traumatic, and it's outside of that brain's window that could have tolerated the event that happened. When someone experiences those type of events, that person goes into protection mode where they try to repress and avoid the disturbing emotions. They try to push it down, and so now those events becomes unresolved, and that's what we term unresolved trauma. Any event or experience that one tries to push under without living in the emotions, they try to get away from those disturbing emotions.
I like how you express that because, again, we can suppress so much, especially from a certain age, and then we can block out so much, especially at a certain age. But when you hear that, Monica, what comes to mind when you hear what the clinical aspect of unresolved trauma sound like? What does that sound like to you in your situation from a childhood? Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead. Now we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So as she was speaking, I was thinking back to when my trauma began at 7 years old. And I'm pretty sure, unbeknownst to myself, that I suppressed that trauma, that I swept it under the rug, that I pretended that it did not exist, but it showed up in other areas of my life. As far as I'll say, having like a bad attitude, or I was sometimes cold, or I had walls up, barriers around me that I didn't even know I even had around me. But I'm pretty sure that the way I acted throughout my life was a result of the trauma that I experienced at 7 years old that I never dealt with because I didn't know to deal with it and didn't know how to deal with that. I just went on with life, even though that situation that took place created so many other traumas in my life. So I had trauma on top of trauma, and none of it was resolved. I just kept packing it on top of one another.
Wow. Wow. And I mean, I don't feel, Monica, like that's what all of us adults have gone through. I mean, Candance, when you think about just you working with adolescents, you working with young kids, and then also their parents, you see that and you hear that type of situation like a Monica, piled up trauma from 7-year-old Monica mentioned to 10-year-old to 12-year-old to 15. Like we have a saying with Monica, I am that Monica. When you read her book, so much is unfolded when it comes to her trauma from her young adult life. So when we think about that, like how does the brain, Candance, decide to move from one trauma suppress, move to the next trauma suppress? How does that happen? Because again, I feel like many of us have gone through so much at a young age: molestation, rape, abuse, neglect, so much. And it's just like as you age, suppress, then the next stage of your life, something else happened. You've been cheated on, you've been lied to, suppress. You've been walked out on, suppress. Right. So all that trauma suppresses itself. For me, I dealt with womb trauma where my womb was traumatic. 2 back-to-back miscarriage and a stillborn. Trauma, suppress. So like, I asked you this question, Candance, because you are in the field. How do you now help a person like a Monica, like a me, say, you know what? Don't suppress it. Let's let the 5-year-old Monica out, the 7-year-old Monica out. Let's let the 15-year-old Monica out, and let's talk about it. So, Candance, can you go deeper into that part of the conversation?
So, as I listened to Monica share her story, it reminded me of when you and I did our podcast a couple of weeks ago. And, first of all, in order to deal with that, we need to understand what's going on. And so, Monica, I believe what happened to you and to so many of us who repress and suppress, we get stuck in our limbic system. And there's no exit. We need to get to the higher cortex area that would help us process what's going on. But if we are in this highway traffic circle and we cannot get up, there's no cue from your somasensory cortex and your orbital frontal cortex, like the information is not going back and forth, you get stuck in that system. And so now everything that happens after your first traumatic event is going to meet you right there in that circle. There is no way for you. You don't know how to get out. You are stuck from the very first traumatic event. You are stuck in self-preservation mode. And so it's very difficult for someone to process something that happens again when they haven't even processed the first event. And so it takes a lot because that person, they don't know how to trust. They don't know how to experience love or, a simple touch because they are in this mode like, no, I was hurt before. How can I trust someone else? Someone who say, I'm here to help. Even a therapist who said, I'm here to listen. Everything we talk about in here is confidential. They don't have the capacity to process that. And so that's why you see one trauma stuck on next, on top of the next, and you keep going. And so that's where we get uninhibited grief. It's grief that has never been processed.
Grief that has never been processed. Like Monica, I've never heard of it being stated that way. Like when you hear that, Monica, when it comes to grief that's unprocessed grief, when you are a child, I'm going to ask you this bluntly question, like, when did the therapy start for you where you were able to trust a stranger with just understand and say, hey, I want to share what has been traumatic for me? Because Candance talked about that, like, talking to a therapist, for them to unlock the different trauma that you face over time. Like, when did that for you felt comfortable for you to say, I'm going to discuss my unresolved trauma with this stranger. I'm going to share my unresolved trauma to see how I can get the help that's needed as well?
See the thing. So as you were saying that, my therapist became my pen and paper. I literally did not sit in front of a therapist or a counselor and said, oh, when I was 7, this happened. When I was 10, this happened. When I was this age, that happened. I never sat in front of a therapist to discuss that. My therapist, again, was pen and paper. I used to write down my experiences and write down things that happened to me, but I never actually shared it with anyone. I'm literally just starting to talk about my unresolved trauma now. Like, it's been probably over 40 years that trauma has been suppressed. And I'm literally talking about it now. I mean, I wrote my book and it was published last February of 2022. That's when my story literally was told to the fullest. So I've never sat in front of a therapist and shared, things that happened to me as a child. I didn't even know that was something to talk about. I didn't know that was something that I needed to share, and I didn't know that was trauma. So times when I did see a therapist or talk to a counselor, it was about, when I was married at that time and things, not going right in my marriage, or my marriage falling apart, or me just having, certain things wrong with me. Like I said, as far as an attitude, and I was always angry and I was always upset and I didn't know how to handle my emotions. And I didn't know that was related to trauma. So I didn't know to talk about that particular trauma. I just talked about what I was dealing with in the present moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and I love how you just said it. Like, you said my pen and my paper. Like, my pen and my paper became my therapist. Monica said her therapist was her pen and her paper. And sometimes in the moment where you are, that's all you can trust. That's all Monica could trust. She could trust the pen and paper won't rat her out. She could trust the pen and paper won't neglect her, won't talk back to her, won't make her feel ashamed. She could trust the pen and paper wasn't going to lead her astray. She could trust that, it's secret and no one is going to, put my business out in the street. The pen and paper became that. And, when you think about it, like I remember even me starting a journal. I used to like, again, that pen and paper was my journal. And I would write down at the time in my marriage, which was a traumatic stage for me in my life. I wrote down every incident. Like anytime he would yell, I would sit there and I would cry and just write. Anytime certain thing happened, and I would just write. I remember after I gave birth to Caleb, my late my son, who was stillborn, he had anencephaly. Literally 3 weeks later, I wrote a book and I published the book. My therapy was my writing, just like Monica. And many of us that's listening, that may be the starting point for you to write it, to put it on paper. Sometimes I tell people, write it and burn it, write it and rip it, write it and just ball it up and throw it away. Whatever, as long as you get it out. So when we think about this, Candace, I'm going to ask you now, how do we now move from what Monica and I have gone through, which is we took our therapy sessions on the paper. I decided to publish it. Monica later on over time decided to write it. And now finally, after how many plus years, she's decided to publish her trauma. Like, how do we now move from the stage of pen and paper to now come into your world and say, you know what, I'm ready to now allow a professional, a therapist to take my trauma and break them up and now figure out how I'm going to layer it and fix it. So I want to ask you that question, Candace. How do we now move from pen and paper to now come into your world and say, we're going to trust a therapist like yourself to kind of lead us into healing from our trauma?
Now, I was listening to Monica speak a few minutes ago, and she was saying that she didn't even know that she was experiencing trauma, right? And so this brings me to this thought that so many times we are experiencing events, and while those events will be maybe uncomfortable, like toxic, they are still, that's all we know. So it becomes comfortable for us. So for her body knew that something was happening, but her mind didn't know how to process that, right? The messages that were going back and forth were kind of like, in on one part, I know that this is toxic, but on the other part, it's comfortable. And so a lot of times, I see women, especially, we go through these things as children, and so when we get married or we choose a significant other, we tend to create an environment that resembles the thing that we went through. You know why? Because that environment was comfort. When you get to a point where you can say to yourself, like, this is not healthy, that's when you seek help. I had a client today, and this probably can answer your question really well about people who are ready for help. This client tried to commit suicide a couple of weeks ago. And she said to her therapist and to the behavioral hospital, there was no reason for me to do this. Like, I just came from partying with my friends and I went home and I decided I wanted to end my life. And so she came into me today to see me, and I said, no, there is a reason why you did that, because every thought, action, and behavior is caused by something. Her mom actually brought light to something, because this girl was about to walk out of the therapy room without talking about why she tried to commit suicide. There was a reason. And when the mom brought it up, she burst into tears. That was the reason. And I asked her, I said, now are you ready for help? You have to make a decision that enough is enough. I'm ready for healing, and begin to trust someone else. That's where it begins. It begins with a decision that I need help. I acknowledge that something is wrong. I radically accept that these things happen in my past. I cannot change it, but I'm ready to move forward. That's the only way therapy and healing can begin.
Oh, did we hear that, Monica? Oh, I need you to repeat that, because you said, and I think that's the piece of the puzzle that people need to get. Like, what is the question I'm going to ask? Am I ready? Am I ready for help? Am I ready to acknowledge and accept and decide I need help? I need you to repeat that one statement. And you also said something through action and what?
Every thought, action, and emotion is caused by something. You don't just get up and you're in a bad mood. That something happened. Something made you vulnerable. Maybe the event happened a month ago. And maybe like Monica, her trauma started at a young age. And so because that was not processed, years would go on with her, this root that was planted inside of her. And so the mood that she exhibits 20 years ago, she may wake up and say, I don't know why I'm in this mood. Yes, something was planted in you years ago that just began to show itself. So every thought, action, and emotion is caused by something.
Mm, mm. I love that. And it's so true. So, I mean, Monica, chime in on that because I think that that statement alone, every thought, action, and emotion is caused by something. And then the process of deciding, like Monica, at the time when all this happened to you at a young age, you could not mentally at that time decide. You could not mentally say, I'm ready. You could not make that decision to say, I need help. But for you at this season of your life, you decided, Monica, to say, I am that Monica. I am that Monica that cried out. I am that Monica that stood out and was hurt and was abused and mistreated. I am that Monica. And I want the world to know that this Monica is still on the journey to healing her wounds. So tell us, Monica, on this journey of healing these unresolved trauma, where are you in your decision making? Where are you in deciding, acknowledging, and just accepting that place where you can say, this Monica is ready. This Monica is about to be open. This Monica about to be real. This Monica needs to show the world that I'm on the journey to continue to heal through my trauma. So where are you, Monica?
So last February, it was actually an incident happened at work. So the incident happened on a Thursday. I want to say, so that had to be like February the 17th. And I became a person that I would just tell it like it is. I didn't care about hurting your feelings. I felt like if you was hurt by anything I was saying, it was because of you. You was the problem. It wasn't me. It was you type of situation. And so people, especially family, had been telling me, Monica, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Like what you said hurt my feelings. And for me, I'm like, you just can't handle the truth. Like you're the problem, not me, and I just could not accept that it was me. It wasn't them, it was me. I couldn't accept that. And so a coworker, who definitely didn't know me like that, not personally, we was just coworkers. I said something to her because me being who I was, just saying whatever, not really considering somebody else's feelings and how it would affect them. I just said whatever I wanted to say to people. And so the very next morning, she sent me an email and asked if she could talk to me. And so when I called her, she explained to me how what I said to her was really hurtful. And she was like, I didn't know how to approach you. She was like, and I just wanted to let you know that wasn't the first time you said something to hurt my feelings. She started naming these other things. And I was just like, wow, I'm sorry. I apologize, whatever, but it still didn't register to me. even though I apologized to her once we finished our conversation, and I appreciated her telling me that, after we finished the conversation, in my mind, I was like, yeah, she's just soft. She just couldn't handle what I was saying. She ain't want to accept the truth, whatever, whatever, whatever. So I go to my doctor's appointment this particular Friday. And as I'm done my doctor's appointment, I'm walking out. It was just as clear as day. It was like the Lord just pierced me in my heart. And that piercing showed me myself. And, God revealed to me that it is me, that it's not her or it's not the other people, it's me. I thought that I was healed through my trauma because I wrote a book about it. So I felt like I was healed, but I wasn't healed. I just was no longer ashamed of the trauma that took place, but I wasn't healed. So the reason why it was easy for me to hurt people and say things to people and not care about their feelings, it was because I had that attitude of, I'm going to get you before you get me, or you're not going to hurt me. I'm going to hurt you first. Like they say, hurt people hurt other people. And so that's where I was. I had this, I still had the walls up and the barriers, and I was still protecting a little girl that I thought needed protecting. And so now that I was this adult woman was going to take up for the little girl. So if anybody says something that I did not like, as the person that I'm talking about, my ex-coworker, and she didn't say anything like out of the ordinary, but she said something that I didn't agree with. So if I didn't agree with something or agree with somebody, like, I was going to let you know that what you said, I didn't like, it was wrong, blah, blah, blah. And so it was because of that experience that God really showed me and showed me that I hadn't healed, but I had gotten to a place of not feeling ashamed of what happened to me, but I hadn't healed at all. I was still broken. I was still a mess. I was still hurting. I was still resentful. I was still unforgiving. Like, I had so much stuff inside of me that I thought was resolved, and it wasn't. I was just building a wall, and I had barriers around me, and I was protecting myself from anybody hurting me ever again. And so that was the moment on February 18th, 2022. That was my moment when I had literally cried out. And that was the time when I realized that I need to heal. And I haven't. I need help. And I knew the only person that could really help me the way I needed to be helped was God. Yes, the therapist. Yes, counseling. Yes, admitting where I am and where I was and what I had done. That was definitely something that needed to take place too. But what I needed was a deep cleansing that I felt like the Lord gave me. And ever since that time, I've been on this healing journey. So this healing journey just happened last year.
Wow. Can you just imagine how long? I mean, I want you to share with the audience though, Monica, because I don't think you said that yet. This is not, I want them to realize it's not just 1 year journey, because last year was 2022. How long have this been for you? Because on the show, on Woman Emerge with Mellisa Lambert, you shared that, the length of time it took for you to heal. Can you share with the audience here on this platform, how long was that journey? Even though you wrote the book, right? You thought that was a way of releasing the trauma, releasing and saying, oh, if I write this book and publish it, people are going to read it, and I've released it. But last year, you was like, wait, just like Coach RGT said, hurt people hurt people. And you're like, well, I will protect this little girl, little Monica. Nobody going to hurt little Monica anymore. I'm Big Monica. Big Monica going to protect this little girl. So express to us, how long has it been through your unresolved trauma?
So my trauma started at 7. Last year, February, was my revelation, I'll say. So it was 1 month before I turned 50.
Wow.
So from 7 until 49. So that was a long time for me to be living. So what I would do growing up too is I used to always say, this is one of my favorite lines. This is just the way I am. This is how I am. You know, it was more like deal with it. You know, if you can't handle how I am, that's your problem. You know, and again, this was me not knowing that all of these responses was trauma related. I had not a clue. But like Candance said, my body knew something was wrong, but my mind just didn't. It just wouldn't catch up to that. So my body was always in fight and flight. You know, but my mind was just I had a mind of my own, and I did what I felt like I needed to do to make sure that that little girl who could not speak up for herself, who could not fight for herself, who could not protect herself, like you said, that little girl grew up, and now I'm an adult, but I still, even though I was an adult, I still felt like that little girl inside of me needed some help. And I tried to give her that help. And so anybody that came at me, I didn't see it as coming at me. I saw it as coming at the little girl that couldn't protect herself. And so I was going to stand up for her. And so you wasn't going to hurt that little girl. So if you came in my face, you came in a little girl's face. And so the little girl can't fight you, but the big girl can. The little girl can't cuss you out, but the big girl can. The little girl can't push you, but the big girl can. So it was always about me protecting the little girl who wasn't protected.
Ooh. Candance, did you hear? Like, I got chills when you said all that. Like, I wish you saw the hair on my arm standing up, because a lot of people that has gone through so much physical trauma at a young age became or is this Monica that we're speaking about. The one that say, you know what? I'm grown now. You ain't gonna hurt me. I'm grown now. I'm gonna have a voice to speak. I'm grown, you know, because at the time, no one spoke for Monica. No one was there to say, protect Monica. No one was there to say, I got you. I see you. I know what they are doing to you. So Candance, speak on that. Just with all that Monica just released. And I'm like, I'm praying that this session, us talking about unresolved trauma, can help somebody that is that Monica, that wants to speak up, is that Candance, that want to speak up, is that Mellisa, that want to say, I've been there, I am there, I'm still in my hurt, my unresolved trauma, and I don't know what to do. I can't cry out. I'm always lashing out, and I need help. Monica said it. I need help. Candance said it. The first step to understanding how to resolve your unresolved trauma is to say, I need help. So Candance, come through with the therapist session now. And let's talk about what Monica just unfolded.
Listen, what Monica just unfolded, I'm sitting here and I'm like smiling, because she's like, oh my God, Monica, for 42 years, you were stuck. You were in self-preservation mode for 42 years. Until that day, when you said, I am going to radically accept. Listen, radical acceptance, I need our viewers to understand this. This is what Monica did. At almost the age of 50, she said, I'm going to radically accept. I am going to accept, totally, completely understand. I'm going to be open to the facts of reality that she was willful. She was blaming others. She was not looking at self. Right? It means what she did was, when she radically accepted, she began to understand that in her mind, in her heart, and in her body, She could not have stopped the events that happened. She could not stop the emotions, but now I'm ready to stop my reactions. And because you did that, now you can begin true healing. Now you can begin to heal from bitterness, from unhappiness, from anger, from sadness, from shame, and any other negative emotions that arose because of your trauma. And I want to take a moment to share this. Just like 2 weeks ago, I'm a therapist, and you would think that I am in the field to help people heal, that I should know better. But 2 weeks ago, I discovered how stuck I am from my marriage. And I said to one of my friends, listen, I am so angry. I am so angry towards this person. I had to accept that something was wrong. And for 2 days, I laid in my prayer closet, laid postulate before God, begging God to help me get rid of that bitterness, because I knew it was keeping me back. And it started with me admitting and accepting that something was wrong. That's the only way that healing can begin. And that's what you did, Monica. You radically accepted that something was not right.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I remember that day when Candace called on me and we were having that conversation, because I remember going through, being in Jersey and literally facing, I felt like I was back again in the trauma. Like Jersey was what I used to call Jersey my Egypt. I called it my Egypt because I felt like I was always in bondage. I felt that marriage kept me there for 11 years, really 10 years. And going back this week, for 13 days, I was in the north, and I felt back in that, I like literally felt I was back in that little girl, not a little girl, I was like that young woman being traumatically, physically, emotionally abused in a way that I didn't matter. My voice didn't matter. And being told by people that I love that I was the problem. Like, why did you say that? And I'm like, wait. And I remember me and Candance having this conversation. She said, Mellisa, I finally can now feel that this has been lifted off me. I'm no longer allowing my past, the hurt of my ex-husband, to haunt me, where I can't, if I hear his voice, I get angry or something triggering me. And I'm like, that's where I'm at right now. I said, I can't come back to Jersey, because Jersey is my traumatic state. It's my Egypt, and it hurts. And I need to figure out how to deal, even though I divorced this man, this still haunt me. And I'm like, how can I go into a relationship knowing that he still had that place in my heart to hurt me? That trauma still rests. When he talks, my body cringes up, and I get to like a defense mode, and I just block out. We're all there. We all been there. Some of us are still there. So I say to each and every person that is watching, somebody, even to the degree of physical defending herself, someone is okay. Someone just said that, but that's one of the things that even us, we do that. We do get to that phase where we're physically defending ourselves because we feel like we don't have no choice. Monica felt like she didn't have no choice. Me personally, I didn't physically defend myself. I verbally defended myself, and I went off, not in a nice way, and took me out of character because of unresolved trauma. And it's so crazy, ladies. Like, some people want to hear certain things from their abuser. And I'm not sure if you guys felt that way in any way or form, but all I wanted to hear was, Mellisa, I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. You meant me so well. You meant me good, but I meant you evil. And I'm sorry. That's all I wanted to hear. And I have to learn to, and like me talking this out, maybe want to cry, but like I have to learn to know that I may not hear that. Have you ladies ever felt that way before?
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about, you just wanted to be validated. That's all. Hey, I'm not crazy. What I'm feeling is real. And you know, as I always say to people and to my clients, validation doesn't mean that I agree with you. It's me acknowledging your feelings, your thoughts, the
Mm,
way why you behave the way you behave. And so a lot of times, I know for me personally in my marriage, I wanted to feel validated. And I think that's what you're talking about.
mhm,
And a lot of times we won't get that validation, and then we have to radically accept that. And so what do we do at that point? Are we going to sit and just wait and
mm,
allow us to crumble? Or are we going to make a decision that, listen, I'm worth more than this? Whether
yeah.
you say that you're sorry or whether you admit to what you're doing to me, whatever you choose to do, I need to know what my worth is. I need to know my identity in Christ. And
Mm,
that was a
mm,
lesson I had to learn. I sat there. I haven't gotten a true I'm sorry from my ex, but
mm,
I couldn't sit there and wait on that. I had to keep moving.
mm, mm. And I mean, to be honest with you, many of us may not get that. And we have to be okay. And I have to be at that place where I'm okay if it doesn't come my way. And I remember, I actually have the book. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I remember reading this book, He Restores My Soul, from Dr. Sonia L. Thompson. And I go into it on and off because sometimes I don't feel that I have that restoration. I don't feel like I've let go. And I remember one time I decided to pick up this book this year. I said, I'm going to read this book again. And because I remember my son, Caleb, Wednesday was hard for me. That was a traumatic stage to know that I had to carry a son to a certain stage of my pregnancy, be in labor for 13 hours, deliver the child that came out stillborn, hold the baby with his hand cold as ice, and to be hurt. I mean, they said so much stuff, giving me a package to go over and look over. They said a lot of things to me, but all I remembered in that trauma was you have 24 hours to claim your son's body. I didn't hear nothing else, but you have 24 hours to claim your son's body. And I remember because they put me at the end of the hospital, all the way at the end. And I remember walking that aisle all the way to the elevator, going in my head saying, you have 24 hours to claim Caleb. You have 24 hours to claim Caleb. And I just kept on repeating, you have 24 hours. You have 24 hours. Went to bed. I couldn't wait for 24 hours to come because I had to claim my son's body. And that trauma held me hostage for 3 years. No, I'm sorry, 4 years. And this year I was like, God, I'm gonna get better this year. I am not. Wednesday's not gonna be my day. October 30th is when his heavenly birthday. I'm gonna be better this October. I literally came in this year saying I'm gonna be better. And I said, I'm gonna read this book. And as I began to read, He Restores My Soul, every page made me cry. And I kept on thinking back. I literally, like, I wish y'all can see it. Every chapter, at the end of the chapter, I wrote something and I underlined something. And by the time I was finished, I felt like it lifted from me. When I say it, the 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 grief, because I was still grieving. And I didn't know that. After 4 years, you should be, I mean, he's gone. Like, why are you still grieving? And I didn't know how disappointed I was and how angry I was at God. Like, why you give them a baby, but you give me? They don't deserve a child. Why? Why? And I was angry. And yes, our trauma is all different. Monica trauma is different. Candace trauma is different. Mine is different. Yours that's watching, your trauma is different. But guess what? You have to come to a space in your life where you can say, you know what? I'm ready to get, like Monica said, I could not get this healing. What did she say? I'm gonna put this back up to the banner. Monica said something, y'all, that I had wrote on this thing. Monica said, where did she you said it, Monica, about God. Where did you say it, Monica? Monica said God, it was through God that allowed her to receive the healing that she needed, and we have to find that. You got to find that place where Candace said it's too. Candace said, I had to go into my prayer closet. I said, Candace, where the prayer closet at? She said, it's in the office in the closet. I said, okay, we're going to create I said, I need to create a closet. Wherever your prayer closet is, wherever you want, however you want God to meet you, he will meet you there. It took this book to help me to get my soul renewed and restored. And I thought about even one of the things I was saying. I want to read this. I hope this is okay. This is a part of my trauma, but this is in chapter 2. I wrote this at the end of the chapter. I said, I disappointed my dad when he told me not to come back pregnant. Then I disappointed God when he told me not to marry the person. It hurt because both my dad, which is God, and my earthly dad was trying to save me from the pain, suffering, and show me that I am worth and deserve better. So then I put a prayer on this page. This is chapter 2. Chapter 2 was called Eye-Opening Indeed. And the prayer was, Lord, please forgive me for disappointing you and take this shame of disappointment away from me. Forgive me of my sin and wash my heart, mind, and body from this sin. In Jesus' name, amen. And I put that out there because I wrote it in the book because that's how I felt. I felt like I disappointed my dad, my earthly dad, but I also disappointed my heavenly dad because they both warned me from this mistake that I was about to make. But no, Mellisa wanted to get married to her baby daddy, at the time, but that trauma, even that, the disappointment became, I held it. And I mean, when you think about it, Monica, like, do you think back and say, I held this up because I couldn't let go, or I held this up because, I didn't feel like I was deserving of this. I wasn't deserving of this. Have you ever felt that way in your journey of discovering that your trauma is real and I need to heal through this trauma?
Again, it's hard to put into words because I didn't know that it was trauma. Like I just did not understand that that's what I was living in and living through and going through. I didn't know I was in trauma, the person who started my trauma was a family member. So I saw that person a lot and it became normal. Like I said before, I was past the grooming stage with this person. I didn't even know how. I always had this trembling feeling and fear when I would see him, but I still engage with him as if he didn't do anything wrong because I didn't know what he did was wrong. I just knew that it was something different. You know what I mean? That was done to me that I couldn't put into words and couldn't explain what was happening. But I went on through life seeing this person regularly and didn't even know that I was living in trauma. You all said something about, wanting forgiveness, like wanting the person to say, I'm sorry. And, for me, again, I didn't know that I wanted him to say sorry, because what was he saying sorry for and about? Now that I'm older, of course, I don't want him to say sorry, because I feel like I don't think he's done anything wrong. Now, with me being the person that I am now, I say something happened to him to even be an adult man, late 20s, early 30s, to be attracted to a 7-year-old. Like something had to have been wrong with him to be attracted to a 7-year-old. Like, was you was an adult man, but mentally, maybe you was a child, and that's what attracted you to a child, because mentally you was one. Maybe somebody touched you and did some inappropriate things to you, and you were stuck as a child, but you grew as a man. You can't help but to grow. If you're still living, you're going to get older. And I think he got older, but he stayed a child. That's why he was able to be attracted to a child, you know? So what I had to do was, I'm not excusing his behaviors, because he need help too. But what I did was, through my healing, I'm not looking for an apology. What I had to do was to forgive. And I said that I forgave him. I've been forgave him, whatever. But I really didn't, because I didn't know what I was really forgiving, you know. But I have forgiven him, not because he deserves to be forgiven, but I had to forgive him so that I can continue to heal through my process. Because as long as I was holding on to him and holding on to everything that he did to me, then I don't think I would be where I am today. And I don't think that I would be going where I'm going in my healing process, holding on and holding a grudge. And I can't believe he did that to me, and he messed up my life. And what I believe that he did was that he gave me a story. He gave me a testimony. He gave me something that I can free other people from. And that's me being open and bold and coming forth about what happened to me, so that other people can know that if I came through, you can come through. That you don't have to stay stuck, and you don't have to stay hidden, and you don't have to stay covered, and you don't have to stay behind other things to pretend that what happened didn't happen. You don't have to suppress it. You don't have to, sweep it under the rug. You don't have to forget about it, because forgetting about it doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I felt like what happened to me gave me the story to share with so many people that has gone through the same thing that I've gone through, and just to be able to be the mouthpiece for a lot of broken little girls and a lot of broken women, a lot of broken men, because it ain't just women who've been abused, but there's men. They are ashamed to say, yes, when I was 5, when I was 7, when I was 10, someone hurt me, my brother or my uncle or the family friend. What man wants to say they've been violated? What man wants to say they've been abused? What man really wants to say that? But now, as you see, we have a lot of men, famous men, I'll say, that's coming out saying, when I was a child, I was abused, and it's causing other famous men to come forth. So I'm just hoping that my voice, I may not be famous, but I'm but I'm hoping that my voice, and I'm hoping that my story, people can hear it and know that you're not alone. Like you say, I am that Monica. What Monica are you? What part of my life did you go through? What part of my life are you going through? How can I help? You come through and get through just as I am. People think that they are healed, which means they think, oh, I'm done. It's over. I have arrived. You haven't. You constantly are healing from one thing to another. You come out of one thing just to heal through another thing. And that's what happens. You just keep healing. You don't get healed. You just keep healing, because it's a process, and it's a continuous process, and it's a lifelong process. So that's where I am in my life right now, just trying to make sure that I don't get to a place where I become, closed off, thinking that, oh, I'm done, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm wonderful, I've got this. Because I had 42 years. I have not peeled off all of those years just because I decided last year that I was going to admit that I needed help, that I was the problem.
Wow.
So.
Yes. Monica, you became the victor. You came out of the state of being a victim to that be victorious in this avenue. So Candance, with all that Monica just, she dropped a lot. I mean, and I'm loving this conversation. Like Miss Lachey, I think her name was Miss Lachey. She said it, share your story. And it's true. And she also said, is it Blue Lachelle? Childhood trauma are the cause of most situations. Absolutely. If you don't address in the beginning, it will carry over into your adulthood. I'm grateful for my healing.
Healing. Yeah.
Healing. And Monica has this thing, INGs.
Yes.
Because it's continuing.
Yes.
Continuing. So thank you, Miss Lachelle, for really sharing. And thank you for going through your healing journey. And Candance, speak from what is being shared from Lachelle. She talked about childhood trauma are the cause of most situations. What Monica just described was her childhood trauma at 7 into adulthood. If you don't address it in the beginning, it will carry over into your adulthood. And, again, Miss Lachelle said she is grateful that she is continuing the healing journey. So, Candance, can you speak on that light, please?
So Monica, I heard you said something before that's so commendable. You said, I don't blame the person who did this to me because maybe something happened to him in his childhood. And to explain that, to get a little perspective on that, if truly this did happen to this person as a child, and I'm not making any excuses for him whatsoever, but it's important to understand that if he too did go through something traumatic as a child, the left hemisphere of his brain that's responsible for reasoning and logic was destroyed at some point. Okay, it was damaged. And so that chronic stress and trauma could have rendered this person's brain to challenges with disorganization, poor judgment, behaviors that it's not acceptable in society. And so while what he may have gone through was traumatic and he grew up to be an adult to make these ineffective decisions, accountability still has to take place. Yes, as a child, if we go through something and it's not processed, it carries into adulthood. Another thing you said, Monica, was that yes, you did go through this trauma, but now you're using this to tell your story. I love that.
Yes.
I love when we are able to say, God, give me heaven's perspective. How can I use my test to advance your kingdom? Doesn't take away from the things that we went through in life, but now we are using that for a reason because it happened.
Yes.
We can't change it, but how can I use my trauma, my past, to advance God's kingdom? How can I win souls for God? How can I tell my story and allow others to seek healing in my mess, in my pain? And I believe that's what you did. And that's commendable that you can take your situation. Again, it does not change your pain. It doesn't change your past. But now you can take that and say, Lord, with heaven's perspective, I'm going to advance your kingdom.
Love it. I love that. I love that. And one of the things that I, again, commend Monica for doing is now opening up herself to share on platforms, on the radio, now on YouTube, now, on through Amazon, with her book. Like, now, Monica, the stage is yours, baby. It's time to open your mouth and speak. I'm so proud of you for just being able to say 42 years of pain will now turn into purpose. 42 years of hurt, abuse will now turn into purpose. And Candance, you said it best. Like, we have to, I like the statement, heavens, what, Candance? Because I never heard it said like that.
Give me heaven's perspective.
Give me heaven's perspective. And that's what is happening for you. So as we wrap this up, this has been such an interesting conversation. So I'm going to ask both of ask Monica and Candance to share two things. First, I want you to, there's a listener, there's a Monica out there, that Monica that has been abused, sexually abused. There's that Monica that has been divorced. There's a Candance that's out there that their spouse has continuously cheated on them and still in denial of what was done. There's a Mellisa out there that's had multiple miscarriages and stillborn and still had to endure it all. Bury her son by herself, right? Through all that, did it. There is a Lachelle out there, Mrs. Lachelle out there. There's a Coach RGT out there that's saying, you know what? I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready to be bold and brave like the Candaces and the Monicas out here. I'm ready. What do you share? What do you say, ladies, to the listeners who are listening, and they too have gone through they're going through their unresolved trauma. They have never dealt with it. Their womb trauma, all this trauma they've gone through, they haven't dealt with it. But by hearing Monica's truth, by hearing Candace's perspective, they're saying, I'm ready. What do you say, Monica, to the listener? What do you say, Candace, to the listener today?
So I say, use your trauma. Instead of using your trauma to cause harm, use your trauma to bring healing and to help. That's what I say, do with your trauma. Because if you went through it and God brought you through it, it's time for you to now use it for some good. Even though it was hurtful, it was painful, you didn't ask for it, it was not your fault, just like it wasn't my fault. Let's use our trauma to bring other people. And I want to say women, but I'm going to say people, because again, men has gone through that too and going through it. Let's use it to bring some healing. Let's use it to help people.
Wow. Use your trauma to help. Use your trauma to bring healing. Use your trauma to bring light to the situation. Use your trauma. Thank you, Monica. Thank you. And now, Candace, tell us, Candace, what can you say to the listeners today?
I want to say to the men and women that are suffering out here today to rise up and know your worth. Rise up and claim your place that God has placed you here. Live out your purpose. Understand that you are made in the image and likeness of God, and that in His eyes you are worth more than enough. So woman and man, rise up and know your worth and take your rightful place here on this earth.
Rise up and take your place on this earth. Wow. Tawana said, yes, and yes, Hunty, yes. We believe that. And it's such an honor to grace this platform with such an amazing woman. You both have your own, your own ministry. Candace have her own therapy ministry, and Monica as an author, a speaker, a woman that is ready to just be bold and brave and step out in her truth. You have your own platform. So, Monica, tell us, how can we find out about what you're doing? How can we get that book? Miss I Am That Monica. Tell us, how can we reach out to you? How can we support you? How can we embrace your story?
So I definitely can be reached on Facebook. I'm under Monica Williams, and I'm also under Monica Williams Published Author. You can reach me on my website at Women of Truth, CO after the word truth.com. And you can always also reach out to me, Mellisa. Please help me out with the new, what is it? You gave me a new email, info at IamThatMonica.com. Thank you, Mellisa, for helping me out with that. But it's info at IamThatMonica.com. And that is how you can purchase my book through that. Is that how they can get my book through that Iam.com?
Yes, ma'am.
Thatmonica.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Mellisa helped me set this up because I'm not that savvy when it comes down to stuff like this. So she helped me set this up. So can you, Mellisa, real quick, just tell them how they can use that book?
Yes, ma'am.
To my book.
So you guys see it scrolling on the page here. And the reason why I was talking to Monica, and she kept on saying her different story. And the Spirit of God dropped in my spirit, I am that Monica. Mm-hmm. And I kept on saying, I am that Monica. And I just kept on repeating it. I am that Monica. And I said, you need to hashtag this, and you need to get a .com with this. And we went on ahead, and I help her through the process of getting that I Am That Monica. And whenever you go to IamThatMonica.com, it will bring you to her book, where you can purchase it on Amazon. And when you do purchase it, I want you to do me a favor. As you read the book and you dive into it, go back to that IamThatMonica.com and leave a review on Amazon. Let her know. Send her a message through info at IamThatMonica.com so she can hear which Monica are you, and this hashtag. I am that Monica at 10. I am that Monica at 15. So she can know that you also have read her story and you stand with her in this season to be healed and continue her healing journey. So definitely please visit IamThatMonica.com and reach out to her through info at IamThatMonica.com. And Tawana said Healing is a lifetime journey. That's Monica's statement right there. Monica always says it's a continuous journey. Okay. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. Blessings. Wonderful. Thank you for tuning in. Tawana, we truly appreciate you. And yes, this is a journey. Healing. We're healing and we're continuing to heal through this journey. So, Candance, tell us, how can we follow you? How can we connect back with you as well?
So you can find me on Instagram. The name of my page is Embrace and Heal Ministries. You can also find me on Facebook under Candance Mohammed, Embrace and Heal Ministries. You can email me at embraceandheal2105@gmail.com. Or you can find me on my website at www.dbtorlando.com/Candance.
I'm going to write it as fast as I can. So we're gonna do we're gonna make sure, Candace, I want you to repeat that one more time so that the listeners can hear. You're at Embrace and Heal Ministries on both Facebook as well as Instagram. You're also at dbtorlando.com/Candace, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And
So
my email address, embraceandheal2105@gmail.com.
awesome, awesome, awesome. I mean, this was such a powerful session. Thank you, ladies. And I always ask at the end of every show, what is your power word? I remember Monica told me hers on the show, but I need to hear a new word from y'all ladies today. What is your power word that you want to leave for the audience today? Go ahead, Monica.
So my word was empowering. But I always feel like I am victorious. I want every person, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're feeling, just know that you are victorious. I always feel like that there is a blessing on the other side of coming through, but in order for you to get through, you can't stop in the midst. You got to keep on keeping on so that you can get through the other side, so that you can come out victorious, so
yes.
victorious.
I am victorious. You got to put that I am in front of it. Come on now.
I am victorious.
Come
Yes.
on. Come on.
Yes.
Wow. Victorious is her word. Thank you so much, Monica. So, Candace, what is your word of that we're going to leave to the audience today?
Strength defines who I am.
Mm.
Say it again.
Strength defines who I am. And the reason why I chose that word is, a lot of people know my story, and we didn't share it today, but I always hear, Candace, you are so strong. And that used to bother me. Like, how can you say I'm strong and you don't even know what I'm going through? But when I sat down and I look at where I am today, look at where we all are today, ladies. We all have a testimony to share, right? And it's because of God's strength that we are where we are today. So strength defines who I am.
Wow. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Glory to God. Tawana said, glory to God. Yes. I love it. I mean, we are victorious and strength defines who we are. So you have been tuned in to Live with Mellisa Lambert, and we are so thankful that you are able to just grace the platform. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Candace, for sharing your light on today's show. We truly, truly appreciate you. And we want to connect back again. This is not the first nor the last that we're going to do this. I believe that the best is still truly yet to come. So as we end the show, we want to say thank you to all the listeners who tuned in and listened in today's show. We will be back again. These ladies will be back again. We're going to be doing this often. You can also tune into the radio show. If you go to any of the 12 top podcasts and pull up Woman Emerge with Mellisa Lambert, Candace is there, Monica is there, and you can re-listen to their information. Let me put, you can actually also go to, let me put it here. If you go to Woman Emerge Radio.com, you can actually pull that up, and on any of the 12 top podcasts, you can put Woman Emerge with Mellisa Lambert, and you can actually find Candace Mohammed. You can find Monica as well on that. So definitely tune into that. Go to Woman Emerge Radio every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live, so you can listen to the past shows on any of the top podcast, and you can listen to us live. So please tune in, womanemergeradio.com, and any of the 12 top podcasts. You can go to Women Emerge with Mellisa Lambert. You will find Candance there. You will find Monica there as well. So thank you all for tuning in. We're about to close it in. So ladies, you are truly a blessing, and we say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for watching us, and take care, take charge, and good night, everyone. Bye for now.
Good night.